It started here, high in the mountains months ago. Record accumulation of snow's piled up, but downstream, the runoff water was being kept above the dams. Now Lake Mead is rising at several inches a day. At Overton Beach, Joe Hansen may be the first restaurateur on the lake with a drive-through.
We sat here and talked, many of us, a month or two ago, and sat in here and wondered how come they let the lake build up top of the dams. This one, Powell Havasu, was all real high. They let it build up, and they knew they had that big snowpack.
But whatever the reasoning of federal officials, the water is here. Joe Hansen will be shutting down his business.
You're going to lose business. Naturally, 4th is one of our big days. Looks like the summer's killed, you know.
Others will lose their homes. This is Overton Beach Mobile Home Park. It is one of the residential areas on the lake which will be hit the hardest. People who live here say this street will be underwater in a couple of days. This is the first time those wheels on Anna Roth's mobile home have turned in 14 years. Where do you put the blame for this having to move after all these years?
Bureau of Reclamation. And they knew it. They knew the water was going up. It's never been this high before.
The engineers say the water should crest at 1,225 feet. That would put the surface of Lake Mead right at Mabel Barneson's doorstep. That's what the engineers say. Are you bitter about this?
Yes, because I don't think it had to be. I think it was just poor management with our Bureau of Reclamation and Land Management. I can't say any other thing.
Now you have plans to come back here.
Definitely. If the water goes down and it's back to normal, I want to come back. I've lived here 23 years.
But no one knows exactly how long the lake level will stay up, exactly how much further it will go. We'll talk about some of the spin-off effects for Overton Beach and surrounding areas tomorrow. Mark Fierro, Eyewitness News 8. The lake is rising. The good beaches and the boat ramps are disappearing underwater. This is not a boat ramp, it's a parking lot. With the lake rising, you pick a good parking spot when you leave for that weekend trip, or you're the instant owner of a submarine. Just a few days ago, rangers were still optimistic.
Not many are showing much concern about launching the boats because the park has stated we'll make every effort to keep the launch ramps themselves open. And here we can do it. We can use the parking area.
That was a few days ago. Now, rangers are stationed at the launch sites to regulate traffic on what is left of the launch ramps. The high water has crested completely over the breakwater at Echo Bay. Workers are laboring feverishly to build the breakwater above the rising lake level. Without the breakwater, millions of dollars worth of boats at Echo Bay would be violently slammed about in the event of high winds. And the rising water has changed the complexion of the lake. The old salts that know the lake like the back of their hands now have new obstacles to contend with at the shoreline. There will be real problems when officials begin lowering the lake level. The shoreline, which has been underwater for days, will then be exposed. That is expected to play havoc with the bass spawn. We'll have more on fishing, a major attraction of the lake, tomorrow. Mark Fierro, Eyewitness News 8. If you're thinking about fishing on Lake Mead this weekend, don't let the high water stop you. There are a few anglers out there who may blame their bad luck on the rising lake level, but park officials say the numbers just don't bear out the negative claims.
Oh, it isn't bothering the fishing a bit. Creel census taker was here today, and he's reporting about what he always does, that the fishermen are still out and still catching the fish.
Lest you think that's just some massaging from the bureaucrats, the locals say the same. Sparky Perkins grew up in nearby Overton. He says the rising water may help. It's lowering the lake that may throw a wrench into your creel.
I know that it'll be good for fishing. It'll make fishing real good. I know that in the past times, every time they raise the lake, they lower the lake and it ruins the bass spawn, and it could have a great effect as far as if they was to take and drop the lake clear back down right now.
But lowering the water is not the immediate problem. For now, the lake continues to rise. A favorite fishing spot for some, Black Canyon, directly behind the dam, has now been closed to boaters completely. And Bureau of Reclamation officials have now revised their estimates of just where the lake will peak by another 2.5 feet. These pictures were taken Saturday. This concession stand at Overton Beach is now half underwater. Federal officials now expect water to begin pouring over the spillways at Hoover Dam either late Sunday or early Monday morning. That's the first time that has happened since 1941. Mark Fierro, Eyewitness News 8.
Only once before has water seeped over these spillways. That was in 1941 when the government successfully tested their operation. But this year, the bulging Colorado River filled the Lake Mead reservoir and the water came tumbling down. The site brought 3 times the number of visitors to the dam, and tourism officials are expecting record crowds over the next few weeks as the cascading waters rise another 3 or 4 feet.
I think it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it before.
Neither have residents downstream, who complain that this site is proof the Bureau of Reclamation mishandled control of the Colorado this spring. John Pilot, a Boulder City resident, was one of the original workers on the dam project. He saw the spillways operate in 1941, and he returned to the dam to watch them again.
Well, I'm just sorry to see that it happens, personally, because the control of the floodwaters is in real bad danger at this time.
Water flow through the dam's power plants must now be reduced to compensate for this spillage. Bureau of Reclamation officials say the overflow could lead to a complete shutdown of Hoover's generators in the next few weeks. That would be the first shutdown in the plant's 47-year history. But officials are hoping that won't happen. They will try to maintain a steady 40,000 cubic feet per second flow of water from the dam and say that early signs are encouraging.
Well, at this time, we're hopeful to keep the increases, if any, at the downstream level to a minimum. We do know that the inflow is dropping. It's a little early to tell, but at this point it looks encouraging.
Officials will collect data over the next few days to determine the extent of water releases, and although the swollen Colorado River poses no threat to the structure of Hoover Dam, it could continue to take its toll on flood-ravaged communities downstream. Cindy Benson, Eyewitness News 8.